If Paramatma is omnipresent, then why you must remove chappal outside the temple before entering to the temple? Very, very interesting question. Of course, the answer I would answer in two ways. Answer number one is Paramatma, to worship Paramatma, we do not need to go to temple. God says in the Vedas, Tadantarasya. Tadantarasya means Paramatma is inside us. Paramatma is outside us. Paramatma is everywhere. Tadantarasya. So, Paramatma says in the Vedas, you worship him by learning Yoga Vidya from Acharya. So, go to a place where Acharya resides to learn Ashtanga Yoga philosophy. And by learning Ashtanga Yoga philosophy, follow it to worship Paramatma and to attain bliss. So, why should we go to Acharya? To learn Ashtanga Yoga Vidya. Or else you can invite Acharya to your house. If Acharya is ready to come to your house, it's a different case. But mostly Acharyas are normally in their tapasya, they are in sannyasa ashram. So it is better we go to Acharya's place and learn Yoga Vidya, right? So there is no temple worship in our Veda Vidya, in our Sanatan Vedas, there is no temple worship at all. On the other hand, okay, to answer the question, why should you, suppose you are going to temple, or even if you go to a place where yajna is conducted, Acharya is teaching you Yoga Vidya. He will teach you Yoga Vidya where yajna is being conducted, Yajnashala. Acharya is sitting, you go to Yajnashala where Acharya will speak about Veda mantras, he will chant Veda mantras, he will explain Veda mantras, he will explain Ashtanga Yoga philosophy. There also, why should you remove chappal? And in the temple also, before entering the temple, somebody does not believe in these things, Ashtanga Yoga philosophy. They said, no, I will go to temple only. Even there, why should you remove chappal? Although going to temple is against Vedas, but still I will answer the question, why should you remove the chappal before entering to the temple? It is not for Paramatma. We don't remove chappal for Paramatma. Paramatma nattam vedataya ima jajana dushmakam antaram babuha. Paramatma is inside our stomach, inside our intestine where the मल मूत्र रहता है, वहां पर भी परमात्मा है. So you are putting chappal and walking on this earth. Paramatma is omnipresent. You are walking inside Paramatma. You are in the chappal also Paramatma exists. So you are not removing chappal for Paramatma. You are removing chappal for Jivatma. For us only. Why you are not putting chappal, like you go to office, you wear your tie, suit, boot, etc. You go to a shop floor, you are working in a shop floor. You come home, remove the shoes outside and keep in the shoe stand, and then come go to washroom and wash your feet and hand, and then you come inside the house normally. You don't come with the same boot and then go to your bed and sleep, right? Why? This is the benefit for yourself, not for Paramatma. If you wear your chappal and go to a place of worship where hundreds of people are gathering for worshipping Paramatma in the yajna, if everybody wears chappal, for example, everybody is coming from hundreds of places. Why we wear chappal? To protect our feet from the dirt, right? So chappal is a dirty thing. So when you wear chappal and go to a place where purity is needed and 100 of people are coming for doing yajna and everybody wears chappal, the place will become so dirty and you will not be able to worship Paramatma. So the chappal is not removed for Paramatma, it is removed for our own benefit. Although this question is a kudarka, we must understand the concept of why we must remove the chappal. Paramatma is inside the chappal, outside the chappal, inside the stomach, inside the place where the urine and the stools are stored. So no dirt can touch Paramatma. Paramatma says in the Vedas, no dirt can touch Paramatma. My Acharya used to say, one Muslim brother used to ask my Acharya that, you say that your God is omnipresent, whereas our God is in the seventh heaven. If your God is omnipresent, he is in your toilet also. How shameful it is that you are saying that God is in toilet. My Acharya replied very politely in a very beautiful manner, scientifically. My Acharya said, see, sunlight is falling on the bathroom. Sunlight is falling on the ditch. The dirt of the ditch cannot touch sunlight. And Paramatma is further suksham than sunlight. Nothing can touch Paramatma. He resides in the dirt, but the dirt cannot touch Paramatma. He is Anandadayak, Anandaswarup. So we must understand the concept very clearly and should try to avoid the kudarka. Just like we don't wear chappal and come to our bedroom or in our hall, we don't wear chappal which is used outside. Okay, some people use chappal for house separately, that's a different case. But from the point of view of purity, we need purity, right? Paramatma is everywhere. Jivatma needs purity. Why are you wearing mask when you go to hospital? Why are you wearing mask when you are having somebody is having cold, fever, flu? Just as precaution that we ask him to wear mask and we also wear mask to maintain purity, right? So that is the reason. Similarly, we are removing chappal only for this purpose. This we must understand. The next question is, sir, I saw your video where your daughter is putting ahutis in the oven. Why she is not wearing kumkum? At least please educate your daughter to wear kumkum and tilak. So I replied to that person, but still I want to clarify that the wearing this kumkum and all is not Vedic tradition. There is no mention of kumkum and other things in the Vedas. There is no decoration in the Vedas. You don't need to wear kumkum and wear mala, etc. Of course, chandan you can. My acharya used to say that when a yogi does pranayama, he does pranayama and then the forehead inside the system, because of heavy pranayama, the system will become heated inside this body. So to cool, he applies a chandan tilak after for doing pranayama. The yogi who does pranayama, intense pranayama and intense ashtanga yoga abhyas. For cooling the body, chandan ka tilak we can use. Other than that, there is no description of any kumkum, etc., etc. So you can very well do yajna, you can very well do agnihotra without applying vibhuti, without applying kumkum or bindi, etc. These are all not Vedic tradition. These are all Puranic tradition, which started in the in the recent times, maybe 1,000 years, etc. But there is no harm also. It is not that if you wear a bindi, it is not kukkarama. But if you are wearing a bindi to show that you are looking beautiful, then it is kukkam. Then it is not acceptable. But you want to wear bindi because you feel positive, you feel happy about yourself, it's okay. That's not a problem. But we have to wear bindi and kumkum and then only do agnihotra. It is not right. It is not right thinking. This is not as per Vedas. Vedas does not have any kind of this, this kind of things in the Vedic dharma. So my daughter, without wearing kumkum, she is doing agnihotra, is absolutely fine and it is Vedic. And the last question I got is on Bhagavad Gita. Sir, I find discrepancies in your Acharya's Bhagavad Gita, where your Acharya has mentioned in Samaveda, one of the Samaveda, that a yogi is the lord of three worlds. When I read that Samaveda mantra from great Acharyas who have translated Arya Samajis, well-known, renowned Vedic scholars, they have not translated this mantra like that. They have translated that this mantra speaks that Paramatma is the Lord of three worlds, whereas your Acharya mentions a yogi is the Lord of three worlds. So I replied to that gentleman, but I want to clarify. I told him that, see, basically you can, since you do not know who a yogi is, you have not seen a yogi who has attained samadhi. Even I have not seen. When my Acharya attained samadhi, I have not seen. I have not even, that is the year probably I took birth. So I have not seen my Acharya's samadhi directly. But known people who are, my Acharya's Shishya who are very close to me, they have seen Acharya's samadhi. So of course, it is my belief that my relatives who have seen, or my close Acharya's disciple who have seen Acharya's samadhi. My Acharya always says, have you seen my samadhi? You have not seen my samadhi. Why do you believe me? Don't believe anything blindly. Always you have to do pratyaksha, anuman, agama pramanani. So similarly, why I am saying this is this Veda mantra, because you do not know the samadhi of a yogi, you do not know a tapasvi who has attained samadhi. For now, you can understand this Veda mantra that Paramatma says, I am the Lord of three worlds. But the reality is, this kind of Veda mantras, my Acharya says, my Acharya has written a specific bhajan for this. And in that bhajan, he used to sing this, and he told that, he told that Paramatma himself says in Samadhi to the yogi that you have become Samadhist, you have become the Lord of three worlds. This Samveda mantra tallies with that statement of a yogi in Samadhi. So in the Samadhi, yogi actually becomes equivalent. Equivalent word also is a wrong word, but equivalent is the nearest English word. So in the Samadhi, yogi actually becomes like Paramatma. Since he becomes like Paramatma, Paramatma gives this, you have become like Paramatma and you have become the Lord of all the worlds. Means, why he says this knowledge to the yogi, it is not to use for the yogi, it is for us. People who are disciples of a yogi, people who, somebody who finds out a yogi living in somewhere, in a forest or in a village or in a city, if somebody finds out a yogi, this knowledge is given for the disciple that, see, your Acharya is a yogi, so do service to him. Because he is the Lord of all the worlds. This mantra is not that, a yogi will popularize and announce everybody that I am the Lord of all the world, so come and do seva to me. No, this yogi will never do like this. But when you read this Veda mantra from Acharyas, you will understand that a yogi is a Mahapurush. That Paramatma says that you have to become so humble and do service to that Acharya who has attained Asampragyat and, Dharamega Samadhi. He is like the owner of all the three worlds. So, my Acharya's translation is 100% right, but this is translated based on his experience in Samadhi. But when you read any other book, probably I have read also Arya Samaji's translation of Samveda. I have read many mantras of Arya Samajis, but I am not saying they are wrong. Because they have not attained Samadhi, like especially Samveda translation, Maharishi did not do it. Because they have not attained Samadhi, they would probably not be aware that such a statement will emanate when a yogi attains Samadhi. So maybe they are not translated like this. So we should never doubt a Pramanik Vyakti. But you see, because you do not know my Acharya yet, and of course you have Shraddha, I saw your reply also, you have Shraddha on my Acharya. For now, my suggestion is, when you read such Veda mantras, which you say that you compare with other books and you do not agree, my only suggestion is, okay, carry on with your tapasya. Carry on with your tapasya, and then after very hard, intense practice of Ashtanga Yoga, probably you will realize Samadhi, and that point of time you will understand what my Acharya has written is 100% right. So we cannot, judge with our limited knowledge. This is what I would say. And based on this shloka also, Maharishi Vyasmuni has written in Bhagavad Gita, Bhutanam Maheshwaram. Sri Krishna says, I have become Ishwar, I am the Ishwar, I am the Lord of all the worlds, Arjuna. Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna. So this is also a Samadhi stage, that we must understand. For explaining that Samadhi stage only, my Acharya has translated 777 Veda mantra of Samveda. So it's very subtle subject which we might not probably understand fully. So for now, my suggestion is just to go through the Gita, note down the doubts, and when you meet my Acharya, you can ask these questions. But even my Acharya explains to us, people like you, we might not fully understand it. My Acharya always says this secret, always note beta, my Acharya says this word, beta ek is अच्छे से जान लो. You can never understand a yogi because you are not a yogi. A yogi can understand a yogi, or Paramatma can understand a yogi. No normal person can understand a yogi. So we still have to work very hard to understand a yogi. We have to become a yogi to understand Acharya's words. I hope you understood. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.